Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors. On this episode of Toys Are the Way, we'll be taking a look at another character from the latest wave of vintage collection figures for 2025, Agent Kallus from the animated series Star Wars Rebels. Welcome back everyone and channel members. Now, it's been quite a while since I've done a video. I've just been really busy with life stuff and setting up the collection room, but really happy to see some more figures from the Asajj Ventress wave start to show up. And here we have Alexsandr Kallus, better known as Agent Kallus from Star Wars Rebels. Definitely happy to continue to build out that world and get more figures from this show. And this is actually only like the second villain that we've really gotten from Rebels. The only other one I think that we have is Grand Admiral Thrawn. So hopefully we'll see more and more figures as time goes on and add them to our ghost display and stuff like that. But definitely happy to add this one to the collection. But with all that being said and done, don't forget to smash a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, or even become a channel member, and let's take a closer look at the packaging and figure. Taking a look at our vintage style packaging, we have the Star Wars and Rebels logo nicely displayed up top, followed by Alexsandr Kallus on an orange name pill color. We have a fantastic image of Agent Kallus taken directly from the animated series, looking really good with his Lasat modified bow rifle and the Kenner logo down below. And then we have this nice figure on a bubble, looking really good with a number of accessories. But one thing I would like to note that kind of bothers me is that you see him here with that bow rifle and you're not getting that exact accessory in the bubble. Instead, you're getting the bow rifle fully extended with the electro accessories. And while that's cool and he'll be able to, kind of duel with Zeb, it would have been nice to get both accessories for the bow rifle. On the back, he is VC 365 in the line, Alexsandr Kallus, and we have a small description of the character, followed by the Vintage Collection logo, and additional images of the card and figure. So all in all, it feels great to add another Rebels character to my lineup, and this is definitely going to look good on my carded collection, and I am a big fan of Agent Kallus, so definitely happy to finally add him to the collection as well. But as I said, it would have been smart to include this accessory in the bubble. Taking a look at Agent Kallus out of the packaging and focusing on the photoreal portrait, I think Hasbro has done a pretty decent job taking an animated character and converting them to a live action representation. Now I will say that this looks pretty good, like the sculpting and everything that's going on, but I will say he also looks a little funny in my opinion. He's kind of got this Sabretooth vibe going on, like the X-Men character, or just this very Wolfman appearance. And I think it's because of the sculpting and just how his sideburns are with this slick back hair. Regardless, I still do think it looks pretty decent. I do think the hair color might be a little off compared to what you see in the Rebels animated series. This might be a little dark, but I still think it looks really good. Moving on, you can see lots of great detail here in the hair and the sideburns, like I mentioned. You have really good detail there. I think they've done a decent job with the sculpt. And then looking at the sculpt of the armor and stuff like that, you got some nice detail back here as well. Great color that they used here, like a gunmetal, and some nice paint applications on his rank badge there. So all in all, this looks really nice. And I do want to bring in the helmet because we kind of got to see how that looks. Looks pretty good there. I will say that this is one of those slip-on plastic helmets, and it still does look a little too big in my opinion. Let's get it on him a little better. And yeah, you can see his face through the visor, so that's nice. And that's just the problem with these plastic slip-on helmets. It's really hard to kind of get them to scale properly and also still be functional at the same time. But I don't know. It looks pretty decent, but I think they could have done a lot better in my opinion. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Agent Kallus comes with a total of 4 accessories, a helmet used for ground assault invasions, and his custom Lasat bow rifle in the extended version. It also comes with 2 soft plastic yellow electro accessories that can be slipped on and off. Moving on to the articulation and the rest of the figure, Agent Kallus comes with a lot of what I like to see on my modern 3.75 Star Wars action figures. And in fact, this is a kit bash of the pre-existing Imperial officer sculpts that we have seen in the vintage collection. So we have a lot going on here. These are actually the legs from the Rebels Thrawn, which don't have like the super puffy Imperial pants that we see normally. So that's great that they were able to reuse those for this figure. And then up here we have, the very standard lower soft plastic skirt that we see with the rest of the Imperial officers. And then everything else up here appears to be new on his arms. And of course he has a new upper body with this chest plate and a new head. So pretty decent reuse here. So everything above the belt is pretty much new. So great to see that partial retool going on here for, not really a main character, but also not a side character. So really awesome stuff there. Moving on to the articulation, we of course have the nice modern barbell hip joint there. We got a swivel at the thigh, which is always nice to see. We have a bend at the knee, which is just a little shy of 90, which could be better for the Imperial officers, but still not a deal breaker. And then of course we have rocker ankles, which goes side to side, and you also have the hinge to go forward and back. So great lower leg articulation. Not really going to have a lot of problems posing this figure into like a nice dynamic stance. Moving to the upper part, we've got of course a little bit of a crunch going on here. He can rotate 360 degrees. And then we have the arms, which are new, and he's got shoulder armor sculpted here, but it's different than some of the plastic pieces that are separate that we've seen. You do have that joint right there, which doesn't look terrible in my opinion. So again, you're not going to have any hindrance of the articulation there, which is pretty good. You've got a great hinge at the elbow. It's pretty much 90 degrees, and he does have hinges at the wrist, which is always great, especially when you are using stuff like this. So it'll allow him to kind of like point this down if need be and do some really nice poses with this staff. So great stuff there. He also, as you can see, holds it pretty well. Getting that out of the way, going back to the rest of the figure, we have some pretty decent articulation actually at the head. He can look down pretty decently, and he actually has a little bit more range of motion for the upward tilt than I see on some of our figures. So all in all, really good stuff here in terms of the articulation. And then taking one last look at the figure, 360 degrees. Like I said, lots of great sculpting here. Got some really nice detail here on this back armor. He does not have a holster, but you never saw one in the show. And then, yeah, his chest plate looks really good. I just really like that gunmetal color that they used there. And everything about this Kallus figure is actually standing out quite impressively to me. Yeah, so definitely very happy to finally have Agent Kallus added to the Rebels lineup. And he is looking pretty dang good and ready to hunt down some Rebels or become a traitor and just become Fulcrum. And lastly, I wanted to take a look at Agent Kallus compared to some of the previous Imperial officers that we've seen in the vintage collection. On the left, we have Piet, who was, the first Imperial officer sculpt that we saw, and then later we got this Rebels version of Thrawn. And as you can see, like I pointed out before, Thrawn has the more slender type of pants, while Piet has the puffy ones. And you can kind of see the nice evolution here of the Imperial officer sculpt, and just, how it can get us multiple characters and slight differences into our collection. So it's always been great to see, them invest in this tooling and continue to modify it and just get us more and more characters from the Star Wars universe. Alexsandr Kallus, better known as Agent Kallus, was deemed a star pupil of the ISB and one of Colonel Eulorin's best students, and at last can finally be deemed a strong addition to the Vintage Collection's Star Wars Rebels lineup. While Agent Kallus is armed with superior training from the Imperial Academy and premium modern 3.75 action figure articulation, he unfortunately is not equipped with his custom Lasat bow rifle or any Imperial blasters. Furthermore, Kallus does not have a trigger finger, which certainly is a little bit frustrating. On the other hand, Agent Kallus is armed with an Imperial battle armor helmet, extended bow rifle, electro accessories, and points of articulation such as ball-jointed hips, swivels at the thigh, rocker ankles, and hinges at the elbows, knees, and wrists, all of which allow for some fierce battle poses as this ISB enforcer hunts down the Rebels crew. Hopefully, TVC fans will see an additional release of Agent Kallus that includes his signature bow rifle for proper display on our collection shelves. Regardless, Kallus is an excellent and must-have addition for any Rebels fan. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at this latest addition to our Vintage Collection shelf displays, Alexsandr Kallus, better known as Agent Kallus from Star Wars Rebels. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.